Hi, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is me showing you what all of the Stephen King books I've read over the past couple of weeks, and welcome back to my egg chair. That's where I'm doing my videos right now, so let's get into it. Okay, like I said, we're back in the egg chair that we got, yes, and we are basically, I'm basically talking to you about all of my Stephen King books I've been reading, and I guess I'm gonna start off by, it's maybe a little awkward since I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm gonna do this in this chair. See, I'm rocking, and then, you know, it's a little, so if it's a little awkward, it's probably why. So I guess I'll start off with the book that I'm currently reading right now, and that is Christine. And I'm about this way through it. I'm on page like what, 121, or actually 221 out of however many pages this is. It's actually really good so far. It's just, you know, you're really getting to know the characters and all that stuff, which is character building, which I absolutely love out of Stephen King. So I'm not complaining. I love it very, very much. So yes, let's get into it with that. I am enjoying it, and we are outside, so if you hear cars, whatever it's flowing by, that's why. And if I'm ever awkward and just kind of sitting here like, that's because a neighbor's walking by with their dogs or something, whatever. That's why. So that's that. So I'm really really enjoying this because it's character building so far. Nothing really so much with the car yet, but you're getting to know the characters and getting invested. So that's what it is. So I don't know where we're gonna put this. So I think I don't know. I need another table, I swear. I think I'm gonna put it behind me. Okay, anyway, the first book that I actually started reading was Stephen King again after the Slobs, or somewhere in between the Slobs, I don't remember. It was actually Insomnia. This is a big old thing, which was actually really good. I know, like, people were really confused. They get confused because this is supposed to be a thing that's supposed to connect the Gunslinger series. But besides like the little bald doctus, I know I'm probably saying that really wrong, but that's how the guy he was narrating, he said it in his little New York accent, which I loved. So every 5 seconds I was like saying to myself, it's a little bald doctus. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I know I'm probably sounding really terrible with me saying it, but that was cute. Okay, I loved it. And like with Mr. Y, Mr. A, or whoever it was, they were so cute. I'm sorry. The whole part, I don't confuse people. It confused me a little bit too, but what really kept me going with this book was the character building of Ralph and his Ralph and who else? Oh my god, I forgot her name because I don't keep up with names. They fly out my brain. Anyway, Ralph and whoever his lady friend was, I really kept up with them peoples, and I'm a sucker for character building, especially with Stephen King. Stephen King, he does really good with the character building, like with the town. And so you really are invested, like when at the end, spoiler alerts right here, Ralph actually sacrifices himself to save a child that he has known since birth from a woman he's known for a very, very long time, who helped her get out of a spot where she was being domestically abused. And I actually cried at the end of this book because you may be a little bit confused about like the bald doctus. You may be confused by them parts, like their portion of the book, but trust me, like when you spend time with Ralph and his lady friend and you actually get to know him, by the end of the book when he sacrificed himself at the end, you will cry because you spend so much time with them and him, you know him as a person, you feel like, without the years and him trying to stop the thing that happens at the end of the book, or somewhat in the book, that you feel like you know him, you know what I mean? So you will cry at the end of the book. So that's what really got me into this. Now the gunslinger part really did confuse me, but I knew that kind of going into it, it's gonna get confused, and it's okay. I accepted it, it's fine. But that did not stop me from like having feelings and making me want to cry, right? So there's that. And the next thing I knew, I was reading the Bill Hodges trilogy. Now that, yes, there's 2 more books I read, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now these books, along with like Insomnia. But these 3 books is why I love Stephen King. Now, the first one is Mr. Mercedes. This is literally about a killer called, his name is Mr. Mercedes, but it's a whole other guy. But he literally takes a Mercedes that he stole from this lady and runs over a group of people who are trying to get some jobs, a job fair, and kills them. Because multiple people. And then Bill Hodges, he was trying to look after it, trying to get him, and then he retires, and then he actually hits him up. And he's like, hey, I know you retire. Basically teases him, and he actually comes out of retirement. And then he meets this lady's sister, who was actually committed suicide because Mr. Mercedes, and they become friends. And then his neighbor that he's known for years, that's worked on his yard, they all 3 get together and they actually take down the guy. And it is very like, it's told in perspective where you see Bill Hodges' perspective, and along with his perspective with the sisters that committed suicide and the neighbor that does the lawn. But you also see the perspective of the killer, and you see how sick he is, how he does his own how he does with computers, and how his relationship with his mom's very incestuous and that kind of thing. And I remember, like, okay, I was reading this book at work, right, during my lunchtime, and there was one of the providers and one of the nurses right there, and I was sitting there reading this stuff, and it hit where, like, it was pretty, like, ooh, it was incesty part, and I had my 2 earbuds in too, right, and they know I read, right, so, and the one girl, she loves to read too, the best part kind of read too, so I guess I kind of knew, and I was sitting there reading with my both earbuds in, I went, like, I'm like, when I'm reading some stuff like that, like, I have an outward reaction where, like, I'm very much like, oh, what the hell, or I'll talk out loud, or I will, like, have a physical reaction for some reason. That's just me, though. And the girls looked at me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure, it's like, was it your book? I'm like, yes, and I said, I'm pretty sure they were talking about some incestuous stuff right here. I'm pretty sure some incest happened here, and they're like, oh, okay, ooh. I'm like, yes, which was really funny. And then, it was just right when, up until the end, when they were about to catch the killer, Mr. Mercedes, it was very much like you went to Bill Hodges' perspective to his perspective. Back and forth, each chapter, which was so nice and so lovely. That's how, it's like, it was so good in that part. And then it was just like, good till it's in the end. And then the second one hits. And that one is Finders Keepers. And this is literally like, okay, the Mr. Mercedes, the guy, he's mentioned like maybe like 2 times. I guess he's visited him, Bill Hodges, throughout the, like, months or whatever, weeks. Just kind of like see what he's doing. And there's something else going on, but you don't know at this point. But basically, this is a guy who, he's obsessed with this one writer. And I'm sorry about this kid yelling. Oh god, okay. If there's kids yelling, I'm sorry. They're taking the trash out. It's fine, just ignore it. Okay, this guy, he basically is obsessed with this one writer. And I guess he did this one writing and then he just stopped writing. And he had, like, he was handwriting all of the things for these books. And he decided to rob him. And he ended up hiring this guy to help him rob the writer. And he actually was in there just for the books because he was obsessed with, like, the books he wrote back in, like, the 70s or whatnot. And he actually ends up getting the books, the handwritten books, and they end up getting this a buttload of money. But he actually ended up killing his 2 accomplices in the end of that. And then he would have gotten away with it, which just sucks. Kind of sucks for him, to be honest. And he stashes away the unwritten books that no one knows about, and the money in this deep place behind where his house was. And he actually ends up getting arrested and going to prison for something that wasn't related to the thing that he actually even did, which is steal and murder a damn guy. He actually murdered the author. So he actually ends up going to prison for actually raping somebody. So he drank too much. If you be drinking too much and you have the urge to rape somebody, then that is terrible. You are a bad person at heart. No, don't like it. Canceled. Goodbye. But anyways, he actually ends up going to prison for like 30 years, I think. And then like 30 years later, this kid actually ends up moving in with his family, who actually is connected to Mr. Mercedes killer. His dad actually ends up getting really badly injured, so his parents are going through these fights and really bad financially, and then this kid, he actually ends up finding the stash of money that was stored in from when the killer actually buried it, and he actually finds that, and it just so happens that he's actually a fan of the author that the killer killed. So he actually finds these, he's very fascinated by it, and then he actually ends up giving away the money to his family, slowly, a little bit, to kind of keep them afloat, to kind of keep them surviving during this hard time. It was like 2008, around that time, when like everything was kind of, you know, not so good, and so they're actually coming up and kind of surviving throughout this whole like inflation part, and which is nice. And then after a while he started thinking the money ran out, so he's thinking, okay, what else can I do? So he thought about selling the unwritten books that no one knows about, and then he tries to do it, but then it actually ends up going to a sketchy guy who actually knew the killer who killed the author, and who only knew about these books exist because he was consulting with him. So ends up trying to frame him, but then the killer guy, actually getting out of prison around that time, gets a hold of the guy at the pawn shop, the seller guy, kills him brutally. So he knows about the kid that's trying to sell the other books, trying to keep his family afloat. So he actually ends up trying to get the kid to give him the scripts that he had originally, right? So it actually ends up coming up to a boil where Bill Hodges knows all about it because he's connected to it somehow, and then he actually helps the kid, but then the kid also makes this stupid ass decision to he's basically confronting him like, hey yo, I can help you out of this, it's fine, let me help you, and then we're gonna meet up at some space. And it was just some stupid decision on the kid's part, but it actually ends up coming to a head where Bill Hodges actually helps defeat the guy. He actually, like, the kid actually sets the scripts ablaze, like he sets it on fire, and then the guy's literally going through the fire and like setting himself on fire, getting the scripts, like getting like the unwritten books that no one knows about. So he ends up killing himself, and so they end up saving each other, and they're all good to go. But this whole time, or was it this one? It was the other one. Never mind. Sorry. I read them all back to back, which is great. Saving the guy, and everything turns out great in the end. But then you realize that the Mercedes killer was actually kind of awake. Yeah. So that's that book, which is actually really good. Like, it's very much like building, like, it helps in a way of that it's not really focused on Mr. Mercedes killer. It focused on Bill Hodges and his relationship with who the hell's her name? I can't think of these names. Jerome and Holly Gibney. Those three people, like, you really get to connect with those three people and how they've actually gotten to grow and, like, you know, to get those connections and stuff, which is lovely. I love that part of it. And then the third book. What did I read these back to back to back? Like, literally, I think I read this one in like 2 days because it was so good. Oh my god, these were so good. I almost want to reread them all over again, to be honest. I kind of want to, but then there it is, End of Watch. Now, this is where it comes to a head and connects them all together, is where Mr. Mercedes comes back into the picture, but it's kind of confusing. Like, it's kind of a little out there because it's trying to end in telekinesis. So let me try to explain as best I can. So it comes into a head because there's all these suicides that are happening and stuff, but it's connected to Mr. Mercedes killer because there's these like little Game Boy kind of things where every time a suicide happens, like that, like there was one that happened where this girl, she's completely paralyzed, completely waist down, completely, like she killed herself, or at least her mom killed her, and then her mom killed herself, right? So it's connected because it's with Mercedes killer, but also there's like a little Game Boy device that was found at the scene, and Mr. Mercedes at the time, he's in his little institute place where he's at, and he has like Game Boy thing, the exact same thing. It's called a Zap It, and so he's just playing this little game, and they get kind of sucked into it. So he at some point has, because the doctor was giving him drugs to help maybe repair his brain, his mind. It was like an experimental drug, so it allowed him to regain his consciousness or whatever. So, but it also allowed him to have telekinesis, where he can move things outside his brain, but he can also take his consciousness out of his body into someone else's head, into someone's body, right? So that was learned, and then he somehow got in contact with his old co-worker from the electronic shop from the first book, and got her involved where they can make these Zabbit games, and they could be connected, where he can get connected to anybody that plays the game, from like who went to the concert they was trying to blow up in the first book, to the job fair that he went to try to run over everybody, and he connected to them where they have to find fish, right? And then he could say all these horrible things and make them convince them to commit suicide, right? So, and what happened was eventually he actually ended up getting inside of the body of the doctor. Yes, Dr. What the hell was his name? Dr. what? Dr. what? What the hell was his name? I had his name and I freaking forgot it. Dr. I know there's a guy named, he's called Z-Boy. He's basically like another accomplice helping them, like, you know, kill themselves, but Dr. what? I can't remember what his name was. Dr. Babineau. Dr. Babineau. And I have a neighbor that's talking downstairs, so if you can hear him, I'm very sorry. Just ignore him. So he was involved, but he eventually actually ended up taking over his consciousness, and he actually was in Dr. Babineau's body. And so it's a big old thing where they were tracking it, because the main reason why they were tracking it is, especially when it really came to a head, is when Jerome's sister, she was at the big concert that Brady Hartsfield was gonna blow up, right? So he saw her and was like, I'm gonna take revenge on him. So obviously he was trying to take care of everybody that was at the concert, and he just wanted to create mass suicide basically. And so when Jerome's sister tried to commit suicide, she's like, I don't know what happened, I don't know. And so I was trying to connect the Zabbit games to him, and then Dr. Babineau, and then he actually ended up being really Dr. Babineau, because he had put his conscience in Dr. Babineau. And then we actually find out that Bill Hodges actually has a pancreatic cancer. Like, I think at the beginning of the book, they were like, he's going to the doctor, ends up being called away, but they were like, oh, it's very serious, and they actually called the next day. And it's very heartbreaking, and in the end, you find out that he passes away at the end, and it was very sad, because it was very much like, boop, passed away. It was like, oh my god, what? It was sad. But, I was not explaining about this book. I'm just very all over the place with these books, but, it was, like, these 3 books, they were awesome. Like, I almost wanted to reread them all over again. Like, immediately. First one to the third one, immediately. Like, they were so good. And they're like, the third one's really like a bit of a stretch with the telekinesis, and like taking your conscience, like your physical brain, like that's in you, out of you, and into somebody else. Also a bit of a stretch for me, but even then it was so good. You can still enjoy it. Like the Zabbits, like them controlling people with the Zabbits, making them like commit suicide. Like it was, and like you actually get to know more about Bill Hodges and like the other 2 people, and it was like, oh my god, yes, it was so good. That's why you like the character development. It's so good. We still got like 2 more books to talk about, but like, oh my god, these, I cannot rave more about these books. They were so good, so good. Anyway, the last 2 books that I read was I read Cujo actually next. Cujo was actually really good. I liked it in a sense of it's character development, and it's very focused on human things, like the fears of being a child, of something being in the dark and stuff, and seeing a big dog and you just love him because he's so cute. And then the marital side of humanness, like the woman cheating and being like, no, I'm scared of getting old. Basically that's what it was. She got scared and she was trying to seek something else. And that side of being human and making mistakes, and like, you know, that's so much I've never done. And then him going off to, you know, go do business and that financial stuff, trying to balance like that part. And then the girl, like the wife and the kid actually end up being stuck in the damn car. Damn. Oh, and like let's talk about like the guy who actually fixes cars. Who the hell is his name? I still can't remember names. Joe Camber. Him being very kind of useless to his wife, and his wife trying to struggle with staying up to her husband, being like, yo, me and my kid, we're gonna go out and see my side of the family, and try to bargain with him about stuff, and then that actually coming to fruition, and them doing really good, and the kid, like, I see, like, the kid, Joe Camber's kid, like, he's actually trying to decipher, he's figuring out things on his own, like, his dad says one thing, what he's been taught by his dad, like about his mom's side of the family being like pencil pushers, being rich people who don't actually work for themselves, but that's like discrimination, right? So he's actually kind of figuring that stuff on his own. Like, you know, he's feeling one thing with what he's seeing right now, but he's also having that thought of, this is what my dad taught me, right? So I like how he displayed that part of, you know, especially being a young, being very influenced by your parents from a young age, but also seeing through your own eyes of what it actually is, you know, which is nice. I like how he displayed that. And then, you know, he has actually, the dad's been dying because of dogs that got rabies, which is sad, and which is nice. Oh, excuse me. You guys see a kind of perspective from him, which is cool, because, like, you know, he doesn't want to do bad, but it's like the sickness is making him do bad, right? Which is kind of cool. And the mom's also struggling too. It's like, okay, I'm trying to teach him what is right, or at least what the right perspective is, meaning like the dad's perspective is very skewed. It's not like what he's saying it is or whatever, but she's struggling in that way too, and everyone's just struggling. Everyone struggles, very human struggles. And then the mom gets stuck in the car because she wants to fix her car, right? And she takes the son, even though he's like, no, take me, and he's like, no, she was gonna babysit with him, but no, he wanted to go. And then she was stuck in the car for several hours, and then coming to find out that by the time that anybody comes around, like the dad comes around, the police come around, the kid died, which I was not expecting. That was like, what the hell, the kid actually dies? What? I was very shocked with the kid dying and passing away. Like, it's like, damn, I thought, like, at least from her, the mom's perspective, is that he was gonna make it, like he was just there. But that's also like the perspective of a mom that's been in like a hot ass car for like 3 days, and she has no water, no food. So that's cool how Stephen King did that too. And they basically ended up them trying to work things out. So that was actually really good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't sorry, excuse me. It wasn't that intense as the Mercedes trilogy, but it was pretty good either way. So okay, the last book I read was The Green Mile. Now, I don't know what else I want to say about this, but there's several things that was a little different about this book. Like, I'll point on, you know how, oh my god, okay, Edgecombe, Paul Edgecombe, you know, like in the movie when we see him and he's in his nursing home and place he's living at, he actually, what they don't show in the movie is that he actually has his own Percy Wetmore in the nursing home. So he's very much watching over him, kind of picking up, calling him Polly, which is kind of annoying. He does that. And then of course he has his older lady friend, which is nice. He's actually writing the book of The Green Mile, so you get the backstory of The Green Mile and all that stuff. And you actually get to know some of the prisoners, like Edouard Delacroix. I can't say it quite right. Hopefully I'm saying it right. But him. And fun fact, the movie, if you guys remember Mr. Noodle from Sesame Street with Elmo, the Mr. Noodle that was in that was actually Edouard Delacroix in the movie. Fun fact. Please tell me if you know about this, because I remember when I was watching the Green Mile as a kid. Probably should not have been watching the movie when I was a kid, but anyway, I remember from a young age, my biological dad would tell me, hey, you know that's Mr. Noodle, right? So the guy who is Edouard Delacroix with Mr. Jangles, the mouse, that's actually Mr. Noodle. Please tell me if you know about this, because I actually informed somebody about this at work the other day. I don't remember who it was, but they were shocked. I was like, wait, what? Really? Yes, I did. And they didn't know it either. Yes, it was actually a patient, actually. I said, hey, because they saw that I was reading another Stephen King book. I was like, hey, did you know? And they didn't know. So please tell me if you know this, because I can't be the only one that knows this, right? But anyway, you actually get to know Edouard Delacroix, him, and how he actually finds the mouse, and how the guards find the mouse, and it's really cute. Oh my goodness, I love the mouse and Mr. Jangles. Literally, it was so nice. That's pretty much the same. And then we actually find out John Coffey, which we don't really spend as much time with John Coffey as we did in the movie. So of course, Paul Edgecombe, he does get the urinary infection, and then he actually heals him, and then he actually goes up to the guy who reports all that incident with the girls and Mr. John Coffey, and how he's like, I tried to help it, I tried to take it back, but I couldn't help it, and he kind of questions, like, did he really do this? And then of course the guy's like, tells a story about the dog. I thought that dog was nice, but he actually ended up biting my dog. You know what? You can't trust. Basically, the whole thing. Of course, we all know that, right? So he's like, okay, thank you for your time. And then he's kind of questioning the whole time. And then of course Percy's being an asshole, being a little shit, just doing the most for no freaking reason. Because he's like I know people. Like, he's like, I can put you in the bread line. I can do this, I can do that. And of course, the head guard, the guy of the prison, he's like, you know what, Paul, if you need to get rid of him faster, he's wanting to go over to Briar Ridge or whatever he's going to go to. Have him actually perform the execution with somebody to get him out faster. And he's like, okay. And eventually they actually end up doing that. But beforehand, William Wharton, Wild Bill, or Billy the Kid as he actually want to be called, but become Wild Bill, he actually ended up coming in there, and he actually tried to choke one of the guards like he did in the movie, and throws him in the cell. And of course he gets thrown into the padded cell a couple times because he's fucking around and wants to mess around with people. And he does touch Percy Wetmore. But what is which is kind of sad, is that in the movie, Edouard Delacroix, or Mr. Noodle, the guy, he actually, Percy Wetmore, do little dance, Percy pissing in his pants. So that like little song that he does, I think that's how he does in the movie. That actually is not done in the book, which is so funny as hell in the movie. They should have kept that, or at least he should have. Stephen King himself should have thought about that. And I think a bug went into my drink. Yo guys, ew, it's a bug. Ew, and I gotta go get him out. Ew. Anyway, so whenever that part kind of popped up, I was laughing my ass off. Like, I died. It was so funny, and I was like, oh my god, I literally was like, singing that to myself, to be honest. Got the bug out my drink. Anyway, I was singing that to myself because it's hilarious as hell. So I was like, okay, that is funny. That's one of the most memorable things in the movie besides the other things. But you know what? And of course, he takes it kind of badly. But since Edouard Delacroix was laughing at him the whole time, he of course had a grudge on him. And of course, the other guards was kind of having an attachment to the mouse. And they're all about keeping the peace, because this prison is not like where you can raise hell and upset the prisoners. This is where this is death row. They're gonna get set and they're gonna be executed, electrocuted. So they're all about having them talk out their sins or confess, let out their guilt, and just literally do their thing. Literally just have them peaceful as most as they can up until they die, right? So, and of course, right at the day of, this is where Paul Edgecombe and his other guy was trying to talk to the prisoner Edouard Delacroix about, hey, what am I gonna do with my mouse? And then that's when I come up with Mouseville. And then right when they're playing with the mouse and like with his little yarn, his little yarn thread thing, his little yarn wheel that he's playing with, that's when little Percy Whitmore do a little dance. Percy pissing in his pants. A little fucker literally like steps on the mouse and kills him. And then like he's upset and all that shit. And then like John Coffey's like, give it to me. I can help it. And he saves the mouse. And then of course, like, hey, he's fine. Like, no, he's not. And then of course he does whatever the fuck he does. He pisses a fit. And of course next day, Edouard Delacroix, I know I'm probably saying that wrong, but I like saying that, I'm sorry. He ends up going on the execution. He's in good old Sparky, as they call him. And then, of course, Percy, as in the movie, does not wet the sponge, and he literally gets set ablaze, and of course they're all pissed off, and they're all angry, and like, you better put your thing in for Briar Ridge today, and leave. And of course he does, but then, what Paul Edgecombe is thinking about is like, Warren of the prison is his wife has brain cancer, so he is kind of seeing her in basic corner, like, hey, she's saying these horrible things, and she's going downhill, right? He's thinking like, okay, this man John Coffey could probably help her possibly, and he's kind of consulting. He kind of told his wife like a little bit, kind of hinted at it, and then he actually gets the boys around and actually plans out what he's gonna do, and they actually do it where William Wharton, they actually drug his ass, and then they take Percy's ass and like kind of they kind of stage it as a learn your lesson kind of thing, but almost like not bullying, but like hazing. As a hazing, like, you know, you can't tell us, you can't tell on us, or else we're telling you about the bad execution and the other things that you did, that stuff. So shoves his ass in the damn padded cell, and then to get John Coffey out. And then as John Coffey's walking past William Wharton's or Wild Bill's cell, he actually ends up touching him, and that's when he remembers, oh shit, that William Wharton or Wild Bill did all the murders that I was basically framed for. But he doesn't really remember all that stuff because he's got the gifts and stuff. So they actually end up going out to the Warrens' house, and he basically was like, you know, we're here to help. And the guy, against his will, he's like, you know, has this feeling like, almost like hesitation, like he has like this feeling like this guy's not supposed to be here, but he's there to help, and actually ends up helping his wife, brings her back to life, and saves her life basically, and he's thanking her and all that stuff. Everyone's so grateful. Actually ends up getting him back in the prison, and then of course, like in the movie, they take Percy out of the prison, of like the little padded cell, and then John Coffey actually puts the bugs that he inhales out and puts them in Percy, because Percy's kind of bad too. But then the other guy, Wild Bill's bad guy, because whenever he touched him beforehand, John Coffey's like, he's a bad man, right? So when he sees that, because Percy like kind of sees it, I guess that's how it's portrayed in the movie, so that's how I'm perceiving it as in the book. So he sees it, and then he's walking past Wild Bill, and in the movie it's like Wild Bill is he's awake, he's not passed out, he's like, what the hell are you looking at, or some shit, and then he actually shoots him like a billion times. But then in the book, he's still passed out. He just looks at Wild Bill and actually kills him in sleep. So in the book, he does not die awake, he dies asleep. So then he actually ends up like in a catatonic state the whole time. He's fucked up, his brain's broken. So he actually ends up going to Briar Ridge as a patient, not as a warden or as a help or nothing. He actually ends up as a patient. So that happens, and of course the whole time Paul Edgecombe and all the other guards are struggling with the fact of how are we supposed to kill this innocent man that's a gift from God, right? He was put here to help save lives, help to heal people, and now we have, somehow by law, we gotta kill him. So Paul Edgecombe's wife actually has a big old outburst about it. She's actually more involved in it than what you actually think she is, but in the book she is, in the movie she's not. And Paul actually ends up talking to John Coffey. He's like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to live with this, basically? And he's like, you know what? I don't remember if it's in the movie, but in the book, John Coffey's like, you know, I'm tired of feeling all this pain. Like, he's basically ready to go at this point because he feels a lot of pain throughout the world. And him trying to heal people and taking in the sickness, or whether he's healing in him, is hurting him, basically. So he's ready to go. And of course, as he's executing him, of course, that's that lady who's like, kill him twice, kill him, hope it burns really bad, or whatever kind of shit like that. So there's that part too. And then it commences, he passes away. And then actually another thing that was in the damn book was Paul Edgecombe's wife. They were actually going to their son's graduation, and then his wife, they actually end up into a really bad car accident, or an accident on the bus, and his damn wife actually ends up dying, like, horrifically. Yes, horrifically. Like, I was like, what the hell? I thought she died of natural causes in the movie, but like in the book it's like disastrous. So Paul Edgecombe actually is trying to get his book and trying to go visit Mr. Jangles and feed him some food, and like the Percy version of his at the nursing home is like abusing his ass. It's like saying, where you gonna go? Where you going? And it's like, no, nowhere. And then of course his love interest, it has some connections, kind of like Percy back in the day, but some good. It's with him though. It's like, you know, I got some connections that, you know, that will get you fired from this place. Do not mess with my friend. And then he actually shares the story with her. Then they have to go see Mr. Jangles. And then the Percy guy, his version of Percy Wetmore at the nursing home, actually ends up seeing it. And then like Mr. Jangles dies of like a heart attack. Like, he doesn't die in his sleep. He dies like in a heart attack, I guess. As like the guy, and then like of course they're all upset. And it's like, okay, never, little mouse, look at you. Like, this place is all decrepit. They keep seeing it. This is gonna get shut off. And of course all upset. And then yeah. Oh no. And then like of course his love interest actually is passing away, but it actually ends with Paul Edgecombe going to sleep, and we don't really know if he passes away or not. But still, it's like, damn. Like the whole thing with like his wife passing away in a bad like bus accident and setting a blaze and her dying, and then like there's a version of Paul Wetmore in the nursing home that he's at, and then like Mr. Jangles ends up dying of a heart attack because he was so like what? I don't know. Like, it was sad. I feel like the movie was a lot more sadder because I feel like we spent a lot more with John Coffey, but I have not seen the movie in years, so don't quote me on that. But from what I can remember, the movie, you spend a lot more with John Coffey. With anything else, where I feel like in here, you spend a lot more with like the prison guards, like Paul Edgecombe, and a little bit more with like Mr. Jangles, and then with Edouard Delacroix, that whole part. So you really don't, I don't know, I feel like maybe because the movie has more visuals, and then you see what John Coffey's like, and you, I don't know, something about the movie was, I felt more of a connection with that, like, emotionally, than I did with the book. But the book was still really good though. It was really good. So it was a 10 out of 10. All the books were really good. So I've been like talking to you guys for like 40 minutes out here, y'all. So I hope you liked my rant, or at least not like just me sitting here talking with you guys about like the books I've been reading by Stephen King. Like, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books and a half. I don't know why. He has been hitting differently lately. I don't know. But hopefully you guys like everything that I've talked to you about with the book. And sitting out here with my egg chair. This might be a regular, because this egg chair is really comfortable. But like the only thing is like the neighbors may be walking around. So I don't know how you guys feel about the neighbors. Or I don't know how I feel about the neighbors walking around and like me kind of seeing me talking around. And me even like, I'm not talking, I'm not filming, nothing. But please let me know for any of these books how you felt. Because that'd be great. Because I would like to have some discussions. I don't know. Or if you have anything else recommended to me, that'd be great. So excuse me again. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Interact with me for sure, because I love this. It's awesome. I hope you're having a lovely morning, day, evening, night, wherever you guys are at in the world. And I hope to see you on my next video. Bye.